Hello, guys, and welcome back to Joe's Ventures. And today, I know I've done through this with the other Jurassic World Evolution games, so I want to carry on the tradition. So, I said I'd do the free updates of the video for Jurassic World Evolution 3 when I did the DLC, this one. So this is, finally the time. Now we've got a good idea what that DLC and those updates kind of look like. So these are some ideas and some kind of speculation for the free updates of Jurassic World Evolution 3 from 2026 to 2028. So yeah, quite excited to get stuck into this one. It's been a bit of a tradition. It's actually, I like these lists are getting smaller and smaller, so there is more and more getting added in, which, is always a good thing. So let's get started. So what we know. So looking back at the different packs that have gone through both Jurassic World Evolution 1, 2, and Planet Zoo. It seems to be 4 packs a year, based a little bit more on Jurassic World Evolution 2's kind of style. We've got 4 packs per year, with 2 smaller dinosaur packs and 2 larger story packs, which is spaced out every 3 months. So obviously this is not a hard and fast rule. Obviously we had something like, I'll use an example for Jurassic World Evolution 2, we had the Dominion of Malta expansions, but the rest of the time we got pretty small DLCs. They occasionally break the mold. Same with Planet Zoo, we had basically most of them were 5 animal DLCs and stuff, but we did have the animal packs. In Jurassic World Evolution 1 had, Secrets of DLC, Secrets of Wu DLC, and then it had the Claire Sanctuary DLC. And then lastly, we got the Return to Jurassic Park DLC. So there is kind of like a trend. There's kind of like a smaller pack than a big pack. And typically, always beside it, there comes a free update that comes alongside that. That adds a lot of cool changes and stuff. And there has been some pretty cool changes. I remember when sleeping, something people wanted from the first game. And that actually was a free update. So dinosaurs actually just sleeping. That shows how far the game has really come. But there's going to be a change, I think, with this, because now that it's a modular building, it's going to become more in line with the Jurassic World Evolution, with the Planet Zoo packs. I think the DLC will become a little bit more in line with that. Though I do like the idea of potentially animal packs. I think that would be quite cool. And yeah, hope we get back to 4 dinosaurs, or 2 dinosaurs, a marine, and a pterosaur. I think that's a good format. So hopefully we get back to it. But yeah, so Jurassic World Evolution 3 came out in late 2025. With Jurassic World Rebirth, the tie-in movie, releasing mid-2025. So assuming a Jurassic World Evolution 2/Planet series life cycle, this would suggest that support would likely last for about 3 years or so. So basically, up to about 2028, I think that would be kind of the best place to kind of find that there. So this means we've got plenty of time for updates and DLC. I think that's really, really cool. I got 4 DLC there, so you're looking at the format 1, 2, 3, 4, so it's at least 2 years. So I think if we use that DLC, the cat's come to say hello to me. But yeah, I think that'd work out quite well. You might hear the cat purring, you might not, but it'd be quite funny. Anyway, so potential smaller DLCs like free editions. This was more of a common thing back with Jurassic World Evolution 1. But there were some free editions like the Jurassic Park 30th anniversary update and stuff like that. There is some scope for that in both games. And also to promote Jurassic World Evolution 3, they did put that free update in too. So free editions like the Raptor Squad pack or the Nasutoceratops from Jurassic World Evolution 1 could be added when other JP media comes out, so things like Chaos Theory and stuff like that. I don't know what's coming after Rebirth, so Rebirth's kind of the main one, but it'd be really cool to have a game come out or something come out. Oh, sorry, cat. Something come out in basically the next year or so. I don't know what else, because Chaos Theory's finished now. I don't know what else would be coming out, but that's whatever. So stuff, of course, from my story DLC video. You can go back and watch that. It could be added as a free update. I'm sorry, I just need to organize myself. There we go. So stuff from my story DLC could be added as a free update here, so watch that video if you want to see those cool features. And what we know is coming, we had a confirmation that the base dinosaurs from Jurassic World Evolution 2, so the ones that came with the game, like Camarasaurus and those kind of animals, will be added to the game once a month. So I think this is actually a pretty good update. I really like that because it gives us something to look forward to every month. So January we'll get another dinosaur, which will be really cool, and then February we'll get another dinosaur, so it kind of gets people to play a little more regularly. I'm not 100% sure what's going to go on with the DLC animals, though. I really hope they're added for free or either in a pack with an extra animal. So, because they're not really, they're kind of like a half extra animal because you got to do the sexual dimorphism, maybe some extra animations in the babies. So they're not quite a full animal. So I think they might have originally intended for the Wetlands pack, but they knew the Dinocaris. If they resold the Dinocaris that early, they might have been a bit like, because these guys have, Frontier really kind of lost a lot of its goodwill with the Planet Coaster 2 launch, and everyone was a bit like, oh, that was a bit rough. But they're trying to, really come back from that. I think they just were a bit too greedy, and a lot of games, you got to have a actual improvement, not try and resell things too much. So yeah, I think they've learned that lesson, and they're probably not gonna do that to us to at least a greedy extent. We'll just have to wait and see. But hopefully, we get them either free, or if they come as part of packs, we get like 5 animals. So we get 4 new animals, and then we get a DLC or 1 or 2 DLC animals with it. I think that would probably be the best way to do it, in my opinion. Anyway, let's carry on. So past updates. So we're at the beginning of our life cycle for Jurassic World Evolution 3. So update 1.1 pretty much came out like a couple weeks after. So this was a more of a kind of very rushed, or not really necessarily rushed, but quickly released update. So this update included Kentrosaurus. Everyone loves Kentrosaurus. A really cool dinosaur back from the first few games. There was also a lot of adjustments across the board, which is quite good. So a lot of adjustments to the game to really just make it play better, because there was a lot of issues with the game on release. There's just some better balancing issues and stuff. A lot more sandbox settings as well. That was quite good. So we got a lot more settings to be able to create stuff in sandbox, and a lot more of them, just so we can have the perfect sandbox. But also keyboard shortcuts, really little things that really help. And for the console players, I'm a PC player, so I won't really know this, but the complexity meter had changes, so you can have more in your park, because I've heard that was a really big issue, because it was really limiting for a lot of console players, because this game is a little bit more demanding on that hardware than PC hardware. But then we had update 1.2 in December, along with the Wetlands pack. We had a free dinosaur, a DLC animal, which was really cool at that. We had Dinocaris come in. I actually covered it in my Wetlands pack video. It was really cool to see it actually swimming, and it had some new kind of, things to it. It was a swimming animal, so I really hope that's added more in the future. Really cool. The Cypress Swamp Brush was pretty cool too. Another cool thing there. More decorations. The Beach Slider and more biomes for Island Generator. So the Island Generator was a really cool concept. I never actually expected it to be in the game, but it's something that is really cool. The only issue is that from the start, it was, had all these cliffs around it. So now we have a lot more beaches and stuff, and we can actually place things a lot closer too. So it makes them a little bit more interesting and a little bit more realistic. So I hope there's going to be, and also added a few biomes. So I hope they're going to add all the biomes. I assume they will be, but it's a lot to add in one update. So I imagine they're going to kind of, in the next few updates, add more biomes for the Island Generator. But I'd say most part, it doesn't need that many more tweaks anymore. Just make sure that we can edit some areas and stuff like that. I think that'd be really cool. We'll just make the boundary like a square around the map, so we can actually fully kind of really develop it and make it all distinct and unique. So I think that's probably the only thing I'd change. New blueprints menu, so you can go find your blueprints really easily. So really easy one there. Copy path style options, so you can just go into the path and copy it. And obstructions heat maps, so you can go into your heat maps and look at what blocks your dinosaurs, what water and stuff blocks it and stuff like that. So that's quite cool. So another cool one there. So, to start off with some of the updates, we've got the sandbox settings and quality of life. So I'd really like more body variant skins. So JP body variants or other cosmetics, like the 2022 Dimorphodon, so that could use some more skins. A great example I like to think of is the 1997 Stegosaurus and the 1993 Triceratops. I think those would be quite cool to have more body variants of, just different colors. They started that trend a little bit back in the first game, back in the second game. They had the Dreadnoughtus and the Iguanodon become not just a skin but a variant, so you could have different skins and things like that. I think they should be continuing that trend. I think that'd be really, really cool, just to have a bit more variety there, because we know that the 1993 Triceratops was actually not brown, it was actually blue, so it'd be cool to have a bit more variety there. I think that'd be quite cool. So just a little bit more variety, so I think it would be awesome. Even like the 2022... Oh no, the 2020. Is it what's the date? Dominion. I think 2022 or 2023, whatever. The Dominion not Dinocaris. the Dominion Quetzalcoatlus would be something that would be a good variant, or just things like that. Some more skins from the movies and the games and stuff that are not skins but made into variants. And I think those examples I gave were pretty good. In terms of juveniles, I think it'd be really good as well to create juveniles from the hatchery or nest, so we don't have to sit and breed them as well. So that just makes it a little easier. I was going to put in as well, basically instant hatching, but we've basically got that now. It's 1%, so it takes only like 10 seconds or like a couple minutes at most to hatch some animals. So at least we basically got the closest to instant hatching I think we're going to get. So anyway, legacy maps. So we are missing a few legacy maps. We had a lot come back from Jurassic World Evolution 2, but not all of them. We had Jurassic World Evolution 1 maps we're kind of missing out on. I think that'd be quite cool to add, so we can have like a full suite. But also the San Diego and Biocid maps from Jurassic World Evolution 2. I think we're missing them as well, which was quite sad. I don't know. I think we may be missing the ones from the Dominion DLC. Maybe, like with the Natural Lagoon and all that, but those kind of maps, I think they deserve to be back. I would love another map with a Natural Lagoon. I think that'd be quite cool. Juvenile variants for movie and legacy animals. So if you give birth or you breed a Frontier Giganotosaurus, the baby's going to look like the Dominion Giganotosaurus. So I would really hope that we have variants that look more like the variant that we got. So, like the Triceratops, like even if you have a 1993 Triceratops, the youngling is going to, or the juvenile is going to look like the basic, no matter if it's a Jurassic World one or Jurassic Park one, because we do have Jurassic Park, obviously, baby Triceratops and things like that, so we want it to look more like that. So some juvenile variants that actually stick with the parents, I think that'd be a really good thing as well. Favorites tab would be another good one, so you have your blueprints, but you also have your favorites, so you can have all your different... this is something that's basically ripped out of Planet Zoo, Planet Coaster, where you have your favorites on your favorites tab, and then you just go through and click them. And all biomes for the island generator. So I believe that's something that's pretty much going to happen. It's not if it's a when, it's just how long it's going to take, but I think all the biomes for the island generator will be another really good way to update it. So yeah, that's quite cool. Next up, we've got decorations. So because we've got all this modular building, it's basically just Planet Jurassic. I like to say Planet Jurassic. It has a nice ring to it, but it is Planet Jurassic. So some more decorations. So placeable vehicles. There's still no placeable vehicles. You can make your own, but I think it'd be cool to have all the vehicles from Lost World and Jurassic Park and all those movies kind of put in the game, and can be both placed and it also can be broken or normal, so different variants there. One thing that's really annoying is more fence types. There's basically no new fence types, and that's kind of sad because we're not just limited to Jurassic World anymore, or Jurassic Park. We've got other zoos around the world making dinosaur enclosures which use traditional fencing. So you got stuff like this one down here at the bottom. We've got this very much chain link fence, which I think that would be a really good idea for a good animal, for a mid-sized animal like a Velociraptor or a Monolophosaurus or something, for whatever. But yeah, I think more variety in the designs and some smaller fences, especially for our really little dinosaurs. I think that's having these huge fences like that are way too overkill. It'd be nice to have a small fence that the guests, so it doesn't look like you have to have this huge thing just to keep your small animals contained. Another cool thing would be more glass pieces. There's actually not that many glass pieces, and I think that'd be cool to have that, so we can have a lot more glass, enclosures and glass this and glass that, so something to work with. But I think the biggest one here, you can make bridges in the game now. It's a bit of a cheat, which is a little bit sad, but some genuine function and elevated bridges and paths would be really cool. Either if that's just how you do it is a guest loop animation or something that you just place on top of a modular building thing. I think having a proper bridge that works without these little tricks would be something I think the game really needs, because there is older people making bridges and stuff, but the bridges don't quite work that way, unfortunately. But yeah, that's enough for there. But I think the decoration side has gotten a lot smaller, so there's definitely a lot of scope for that, in my opinion, especially now that they're doing the modular building. Attractions. So we did get a lot of attractions, actually. This one is one that they've really shrunk in size from the last update, because they've added, the Cretaceous cruise. They've added the balloon tours and stuff like that, so they've really added quite a bit. But yeah, I think a really cool one would be the golf course. Golf course would be quite cool. This is a local golf course to me. It's only about an hour and a half away from me. They have actually kiwi and takahe and native New Zealand birds there. But a golf course that just takes up space, looks really, really nice. Would be really cool to have. It's an attraction that we have from Jurassic World. Botanical gardens would be cool. I think it'd be really cool to have that as kind of like the greenhouse from the first game, so you can have all these different plants and learn about them and have them in your park and create something. Even though you technically could create them now, but I think it'd be really cool to have paleoplants as well there. And I don't know if you can actually place paleoplants on their own. I think you should be able to. I think that would be a cool thing to add to the game, like actually have paleoplants as placeable plants. I'm pretty sure they are, but I'm not 100% sure. I couldn't tell off the top of my head, but if they're not, I think that should be a thing. The gondola is another good one too. We have gondola from Camp Cretaceous, and I'm sure you could easily create something JP themed with that. A really cool gondola. I think that's a really important one there, especially for tall parks. Now we've got that expand terrain. We could create gondolas going from the top half of a mountain park down to the bottom. I think that would be quite cool. We've also got roller coaster, so that's a cool one there. We've actually got now a Jurassic World and a Jurassic Park one. So this one's the Bone Shaker from Jurassic Park the game, and this one's from Camp Cretaceous Hidden Adventure. You can see the Tarbosaurus there. So we've literally got a JP and a JW version of these ones, and you can add them both. I think they'd be really cool. And plus, you can make them modular, so we could make our own Bone Shaker and our own roller coaster. So I think that'd be really cool. Literally, they've made Planet Zoo. They could literally just create a diet version of that, and we can make a roller coaster. Something that'd be quite cool. And I know this one's another cool one. We've got the Cretaceous Cruise, which is obviously just a little canoe, but this one's a more traditional boat tour that I think would be cool to both have in lagoons, but also in the rivers. So just a more traditional big boat, like a river cruise. Something that's just a little bit bigger rather than just paddling. So you could do attractions more with lagoon animals, but also, in areas like Spinosaurus, not just paddling a lagoon, a little bit more reinforced for the bigger animals that will live in there. So that's quite a cool one. Quite happy with that. I think that's cool. Aquatic update. So I'm kind of sad the lagoons didn't get as much as an update as I hoped they would. They did get some cool changes like collision and stuff, so you can actually change the depth a little bit of their lagoons. But I think there's a few changes here that I'll add that really just add a lot to them. So the feeders, I think, would be really cool. We've got squid feeder, shark feeder, shellfish feeder, etc. So just because the dinosaurs, like the herbivores, they have so much variety in what they can eat. So they like this plant or tall nut or ground nut or stuff like that. So it's kind of like a min-maxing of what you got to find. But it's only for the herbivores. There's none for the marine. There's none really for the meat-eating pterosaurs or any meat-eating animal, which I will get into about a little bit later. But there's no equivalent of that mechanic. So I thought it'd be cool to add like 5 or 6 different feeders. So you have squid. They're really perfect for things like Shonisaurus and other larger ichthyosaurs and stuff like that. A shark feeder that's not just hanging, one that's actually swimming, so they got to hunt for that. Would be great for our larger carnivores like Tylosaurus and Mosasaurus and Kronosaurus and them. A shellfish one would be really cool, not to be shellfish. Bad joke, but yeah, things like Archelon would really benefit from that. And if we add things like Lead 60s and stuff in the future, you could easily have a zooplankton feeder. So there's a lot of variety there that you could use to really expand that for our dinosaurs. Or marine animals, marine reptiles. Though they're not all reptiles, Megalodon's not a reptile, but marine animals. Tunnel viewing, that's one that's really been requested. Tunnels, because I actually worked at the aquarium that developed this at Kelly Townsend's. I worked there for a bit. A really, really cool place. I love it. Just was casual, so I needed a full-time job, but really, really awesome place and loved it. We have this kind of round design there, cylinder that you used to walk under it and you can see the fish around it. So I think something like that would be really cool to have customizable that we can put in our enclosures. So you can have a mosasaur swimming overhead. That's something I know everyone's been requesting for a good long while. So I think that would be a great thing to headline an update. Another cool thing as well, we change watercolor. So you got this always got this kind of green, bluish watercolor. What if you make a green like it's it's an estuary or like a dark mud like a lagoon or something like the Amazon River or the Congo? I think that'd be quite cool to have variety in what you paint, and maybe that could even become a husbandry thing. So like water quality or watercolor, they prefer certain colors or something. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that would be quite cool. So I know a lot of people were disappointed about not having terrain editing in the lagoons, but I've come up with kind of the next best thing. I've given the XL lagoon and the extra small lagoon. So this is a lagoon that's like 1.5 times the size, so it's an extra like half again bigger and deeper. And then you got the extra small lagoon, which is a half the size. So in this, with combination with having all that collision going on, I think it'd be really cool to create. It almost creates like these 3 tiers of lagoons. So you could really create something unique with a really deep one, and then maybe you have a small one right next to it. And then if you want to smooth it out a bit better or create some more different textures, you can add rocks in there and really create something that's quite interesting. And, just mix up variety so it isn't just all just flat one depth, and then maybe it all just goes to the bottom. So one that's a little bit deeper, one that's a little bit shallower. And I think that also works as well because some of the animals, they need like quite a bit of space. So you can just have one one or two big 1.5s, and that's enough for like a Mosasaurus or something. So I think that kind of works out a little bit better as well. I think another cool one as well is a Lagoon Ranger post. So that's all tied to the hatchery. I hate that. I think having it like, in the enclosures, you've got the Ranger post that you can just plop in anywhere. You have to have one of those for a lagoon or an aviary. So I thought, why not just divorce that so you can have one without an hatchery on it. So these guys can go be serviced, and you can have your perfect round aviary or something like that. A round lagoon. And then you can have that, sitting in the ocean, very much just bobbing around like a buoy, and that's where there's like a thing on the land next to it where you go, and then they can go and service it. So I think that would be quite cool there. Some designs. There is actually in the workshop, there is a design for this kind of Jurassic Park the game rotunda. I really like Jurassic Park the game. Very cool. So I'd really love to have one that's genuinely functional. I think that'd be really cool. But anyway, we're going to carry on. Marine reptile updates. So we've talked about the lagoons and stuff like that, but I want to talk about some updates that we could generally get for the marine reptiles. So idle animations such as breaching. So you can see the breaching here. These are dolphins porpoising. Are any of that as well? The breaching, and this one here is from Prehistoric Planet, jumping up and grabbing a Tyrannosaurus. And you'll see the Tyrannosaurus, sticking their head out of the water like that. I think this would be really cool animations that you could have as well for our lagoon animals, just to give them a bit more life. Rubbing on rocks as well. That's something a lot of marine animals do. They'll come to see cleaner fish or rub their bodies on rocks and sand to help slough off skin and get rid of parasites. That'd be something quite cool there. I've also got here the whales, slapping the top of the water with their fins. I think that's another really cool thing as well. It'd be great to look over the park and seeing them do things like that. But also most of our marine reptiles, they are air-breathing animals, but they don't breathe. So I think it'd be really cool to have them actually breathe and spout like this is a blue whale here. Have that big, kind of whoosh, and then you can see it across the park, and they could have a big whoosh sound, and it makes them feel like alive and almost whale-like in a lot of regards. So I think that would be a really cool thing to add as well. So there's a really cool improvements to the marine reptiles there, and not some huge ones, just an animation of them breathing, an animation of them porpoising and shoaling, like the ichthyosaurs would love that. Just extra little animations just to add a little bit more life to them. Which I think would be quite cool. Some great updates there, and you can see, the breathing, so they actually breathe like normal animals, which is quite cool. So next up, we've got a pterosaur update, or improvements. So they don't have social animations yet. The marine reptiles or the marine animals didn't really have them until an update. So I think it'd be cool to add pterosaurs having social animations in an update. Idle animations would be quite cool as well. Like they kind of just sit and then preen themselves and then fly off. It'd be cool to have them do some more typical idle animation. So this is an idea, Prehistoric Planet coming again to do the social animations. They come and, clack beaks or something, or do something cute. This one's a bit of a courtship display. They get calling to each other. You could have like a funny territory calling animation, or something that's a bit more idle. He could just stand there, it almost looks like a weird person. He can just stand there and kind of bask or something. I think that would be a really cool idle animation, and there'd be different ones for different species and different types. So I think that'd be quite cool. Another one, of course, I think I missed it out for the marine reptiles, but they should both be able to attack the drones. I think it's weird that the drones are invincible, but that's a little aside thing. The extra large and extra small aviary is basically the same concept as I mentioned before for the lagoons. So instead of having that standard just lagoon aviary heights, you can have a short one or a small one. That'd be great for animals like Jailopterus and the small Dimorphodon and Agirognathus when that comes, because it was in Rebirth. So really small aviary for them, and then you have an extra large one for things like Hexagopteryx and Quetzalcoatlus and Thalassodracon when that kind of a big one and a small one, and you have your middle one in between. And then you can create tiers. You could have an area where it's quite small, and then it goes up to quite a big aviary, and I think that would fit better for a lot of our bigger animals and smaller animals, because there's quite a bit of variety there. So I think that would work quite well and allow us to create some more creative kind of aviary designs. In terms of extra small aviaries, there's also the same thing as well. So a bit smaller, so you have your tiers, kind of a 3-tier, and then you can obviously change them, and with terrain and stuff like that, you could obviously fix that up so it looks a little bit more cool and stuff like that. So just instead of just having this big dome around the place, I think it creates a bit of variety and a bit more added to the shape. Another really cool thing there, as I mentioned with the lagoon, we also have the aviary ranger post, because it's the same deal. The hatchery is attached to the ranger post, so I think it would be cool to have a ranger post independent of that, just so we don't have to have a hatchery on it. And also, the terrain tools are quite limited in the aviaries, so I think it'd be really cool to increase the terrain tools so we can have those really tall cliffs inside it, or be able to have it over a tall cliff or something. I think that would be quite cool, especially with our extra large ones. You could have a really big aviary and like and have pteranodons in there, almost like Jurassic Park 3. But also they do would take advantage of the new deep water. So we do know that some pterosaurs potentially would be diving, like gannets and stuff today. So it'd be quite cool to have them, because the deep water automatically generates fish. So you could have one generating fish, and then it just jumps down and then comes up with a fish or something and dives in there. I think that would be quite cool. Very quite cool. So that's stuff for our pterosaurs and stuff like that. Another really cool thing I want to bring back is the feeders. So, as I kind of mentioned before, I want to expand what the animals are eating, because it's really only the herbivores you've got to worry about tall nut, ground nut, and all that stuff. But the carnivores are going to get that love too. So we've got expanded carnivore feeders. So we've got cows, chickens, deer, rabbits, and I could add pigs and stuff like that, pigs and goats. So that's like a good decent amount of variety. So different types of meat that different dinosaurs prefer. So as I could easily see, maybe Carcharodontosaurus prefers really lean meat, and that's what you'd feed them deer. Or something, like bunnies and chickens. Maybe Stegosaurus prefers chickens, and while I think another small dinosaur, Sinosauropteryx prefers, or not really Sinosauropteryx, what's another small one? Moros prefers rabbits or something like that. So it gives you a bit of variety there, and kind of different things to feed out. So it'd be cool to have that sort of variety brought in there, I think, as well, in terms of tall nut, and then you have the tall nut ground up for the herbivores, and then you have the different food animals for the carnivores. You could add pigs in there, because there were pigs fed out in Jurassic World, and you'd be like, some animals really like the fatty pigs, and some prefer the lean meat of a deer, and some prefer just the massive size of a cow, and some prefer the lean meat of the chicken, or the red meat of the rabbit, or something like that. Just whatever system kind of works. I think it'd be quite cool to have different feeders for different animals, different carnivores. One thing I'd really like to bring back as well is the herbivore feeders. So I think it'd be really cool to bring back the herbivore feeders and that paleobotany mechanic, because that was originally the greenhouse, and then you swap it around. I think it'd be cool to bring that back, so we could have a decoupling, so the feeders can have the right paleobotany needs for our dinosaurs instead of having to put that in our enclosures. So we can kind of decouple that, and so we can have our enclosures pretty much however we like, and then in our campaign zoos and stuff like that, and then they can go to there and actually eat the food from there and the feeder and have their paleo needs met. And also herbivorous pterosaurs, we've got Cabijara and Tapijara. Both were believed to be herbivorous pterosaurs. We actually have fossil evidence of a relative of theirs with plants or fruits in their gut. So I think it'd be really cool to have that and kind of divorce that from all the pterosaurs eating fish and meat and stuff like that. But one thing as well, the insectivore feeder. We had that in Jurassic World Evolution 2 for Jailopterus. It didn't make a return, because I don't think Jailopterus made a return in Jurassic World Evolution 3. But I think it would be a great thing to add back, and maybe make a version that works for both one of the mimids, small dinosaurs like Moros and Compsognathus and all those little dinosaurs, and then pterosaurs like Agurognathus and Jailopterus and other pterosaurs. So I think there's a really cool scope to add that insectivore feeder back, which is really, really cool, as you can see up in the corner there. So let's carry on. Next up, we want some dinosaur improvements. So I would really like to see some improvements to mixed species and herding improvements. So we could have those kind of herds that we got in Jurassic Park 3. The big herd of Stegosaurus and Brachiosaurus and Parasaurolophus, and those kind of large herds and those kind of movies. Or even like The Lost World, that huge bit with all the different dinosaurs running from the people that were trying to catch them in Gen. So something like that, I think would be really cool to replicate that in some way. Also, more idle and species / group specific animations, so sauropods rearing up. So we still haven't got that iconic first animation, the Brachiosaurus in Jurassic Park 1, rears up and does all that. We still don't have that animation in the game, which is wild. So I think it'd be quite cool to add that in the game as like a Brachiosaurus exclusive animation and kind of replicate that, because that would be a cool little extra thing to add. But also in Ankylosaur tail whacking, because we know they actually whacked each other with their clubs from remains from Zool that had injuries basically where perfect if they lined up next to each other and they started whacking each other where those injuries would be. But also more intricate displays. You can be quite creative with it. I think that'd be quite cool because you've got a lot of dinosaurs. You could do all sorts of creative things just to add more animations and more things to them. I think that would be quite cool. Also interspecies behavior. We kind of got a tease with that with the hybrids, as the Indominus can talk to velociraptors, and also the hybrids can have an animation with their parent species, like Ankylodocus can have an animation with Diplodocus, and I think Ankylosaurus. So things like that would work quite well, I think, for this game. So some more interspecies things. So they don't have to be all the same, or all dinosaurs have to have all of them. Just a few different quirky animations for animals that like each other, I think, would be quite cool. And make that this dinosaur likes this dinosaur probably more of an interesting mechanic. Because you compare dinosaurs that have special animations together, and I think that'd be quite cool. This one's a bit more minor, but it's kind of annoying because we do have remasters of dimorphisms, so some minor dimorphism remasters. So a lot of the remasters, that's like the male is made the default, and they just gave the female smaller horns or something. When in canon they're all female, and we actually do have a male Nasutoceratops design, and which I've got up here. So they definitely did. So they already had the sexual dimorphism for that animal, but they didn't use it. So I think it'd be cool if they went back and just fix that up. It's mainly just some minor model changes. I could honestly do it in one update. It would be quite easy. Also, dung, I think it would be quite cool. In Planet Zoo, we've got all different poos. I think it'd be kind of cool for different dinosaurs to have different poos, like that big pile of poo from the movie. I think it'd be quite cool to have in there, and actually dinosaurs, and just different poo piles and stuff. Like JPOG had that too, and Planet Zoo has it. Most zoo games have it. But it would be just something funny, just to have around and make the dinosaurs feel alive. And it would disappear after a while. It wouldn't be a mechanic thing. It would just be purely cosmetic. But I think another cool thing as well, and they've already kind of leaned to this with the Dinochirus, is also expanded swimming. Because really only a few dinosaurs use this mechanic. There's like 80 dinosaurs in the game, but only like 5 to 8 use it now. And they've also added, all the dinosaurs from Wet Packs kind of use it a bit more. But I think they should expand swimming to add variety to each dinosaur type. So have like a couple hadrosaurs that can swim, or a couple ankylosaurs, or a couple smaller animals that can swim. So they all aren't, just avoid water. There's like a little bit of variety. So maybe an ankylosaurus can swim, but a Polacanthus cannot, or something like that, for example. But there's also, canon dinosaurs that can swim, like Tyrannosaurus. In Camp Cretaceous, that was depicted swimming, same with Parasaurolophus. But also in Rebirth, we had that famous scene with a T-Rex, and the T-Rex can't swim in this game. So I think that'd be a great thing to add in a update with that. Make it as cool swimming animation, was very crocodile-like in that regard. So I think that would be quite cool. So next up, this is a completely new one I'm adding here. So one of the things that a lot of people have been really complaining about, I'm normally not like a Battle Royale guy, but I think this game is like the perfect position to be that for people. It makes gets a lot of clicks. Gaming Beaver has those battle royale, arenas going on, and a lot of people like it for the animal fighting and stuff like that. And I always have thought of Jurassic World Evolution as being like it's an average sim. Now it's like obviously spec'd into creativity because you got modular building, so really creative. Management's okay. The ecological sim, that's improved quite a bit because now you have babies and stuff, but that's still not something that they've really looked into, which is fair enough. But I think it'd be cool to expand that in the future too. But also as well, the combat has basically changed barely anything since the first game. So I think that's something that desperately an aspect of the game that needs an update. So dinosaur hunting and combat. So sauropod, hadrosaur, and ornithomimid fighting animations. So I've hanged on this before. We've got this big sauropods, multiple tons, tens of tons. Argentinosaurus 70 ton, Brachiosaurus 40-50 ton, Pagona up to the same size as Argentinosaurus, but they still get killed by large carnivores. It was fine in the first game, only the Indominus can kill them, but then there's expanded to Rex and other large carnivores. So I think that just makes them feel weak, even though they are enormous. They could stomp down, they could use their tails, they could use their necks, they could kick. There's so many cool ideas for animations and things for different types. Diplodocus could use his tail a lot more, and Brachiosaurus could rear up and stomp and stuff like that. So I've got this one with the Barosaurus there. So I think it would be really cool if they did add some sauropod fighting animations and make them feel like almost invincible, like they would be really in the environment. They would have been. Once you reach an adult as a sauropod, you're practically invincible in terms of predators, because unless they gang up on you, you're the biggest thing out there. So I think it'd be really cool to have some really cool sauropod fighting animations, and I can imagine just being impressed with like a huge sauropod, like it jumps up and then goes boosh on the ground, and I think that'd be really, really awesome. Some sauropod animations. Hadrosaurs, same thing. There's some pretty big hadrosaurs like Jutungosaurus and Montosaurus. They would be a great example of animals that could fight back. We've already got technically a, I won't say it's a hadrosaur, it's a guanodon, but a guanodon fights back. I think it'd be cool to have something like that. They can kick, they can, they've got their big tails too, they can bite. They also can rear up and smash things, so a lot of overlap with the sauropods. And also the ornithomimers, they could have very bird-like animations. They could come up and, kick things and go, like a cassowary or something. I think, in some other smaller dinosaurs that don't have fighting animations, I think it would be quite cool to add some to them. Because, like a Homocephale versus a Moros, they could have a bit of a scrap. I think that would be quite cool. We do have some flying attacks for some of the larger pterosaurs, but we don't have any ground attacks. So you have that one with the, Quetzalcoatlus going in and attacking the Montosaurus, but they do that from the air. It's actually more likely that they would have hunted from the ground. So I added that little bit of art down there, so they would be able to go down and, pick fights and fight animals as well. From the ground, that's probably how they were actually hunting. So Hexagopteryx and Quetzalcoatlus and Thalassodracon. Great examples of that. I think that would be quite cool. Combat Maximum, again for Sandbox. So there was a setting in Jurassic World Evolution 1 that set up combat to maximum. That was taken out of 2 and not introduced back in 3. So obviously a lot of people that really want to have fights, that's going to take them a while. So I think it would be cool to have that back in for Sandbox for people that want to have those fights. Really easy change. I think would be quite cool. Movie fight animations would be quite cool. Giving the animals more animations that are specific to movie fights. They already have that with the Spinosaurus, twisting the neck of a large predator and dumping it. There's definitely a lot of variety there that they could use different movie fights. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head, to be completely honest, but, something that looks more like a movie fight. There's the Indominus versus Ankylosaurus, and there's so many different movie fights they could take inspiration from for specific animations. I think they'd be quite cool. I think also a fight randomizer would be quite cool, so something to have the fights, always have the same outcome. It's just not a stat battle. They could have something that adds like a random outcome, or a way to kind of make the fights a bit more dramatic and engaging as well. But I think really cool having non-dual attacks would be quite cool. So we already kind of have that, when the Stegosaurus, I think you saw it when I did the Jurassic World Evolution 3, when the Stegosaurus came up to us and then it just took a picture as it was coming to swipe us with its tail. So animations like that. J-Pog's a good example. They had these duels, but that only happened when they had certain health. They could walk around and slap each other with their tails, or kick each other. I think that'd be quite cool to have just something to knock down the. So they don't have it. They can have a duel, but they'll also have let's say a Indominus hunting a Diplodocus. The Diplodocus can hit it with its tail, and then it can come up and do its attack animation or something like that to dwindle their health, as well as doing those fights. So having like tail attack for Stegosaurs and Ankylosaurs and Sauropods. So tail attacks and kicking attacks and all that, I think it would really expand that quite a bit and really make fighting a much more engaging part of this game. Obviously, that's something that is definitely something I think would need improvement. But, I think maybe not for the scope of this game. Maybe they should make a dinosaur fighting sim. I think that would be quite interesting if people would want that. I know people would want that. I personally wouldn't be too interested, but, people want that. They could just make their own game, like a Jurassic World spin-off. But yeah, I think adding these would really add a lot more dynamic fights to the game, because I think that's what it desperately needs, especially for the people that like that stuff, and make each hunt, make it actually feel like chaos. But yeah, I think that's quite good. So I've actually removed quite a bit from this, from the Jurassic World Evolution 2 one, which I'm quite proud of. So yeah, thank you for watching. So a lot of the content I added in this video is based on my own ideas, and looking at what the JWE community wants to see. So if there's something you want to see and it didn't make it, leave a comment. I love to hear what other people think. So yeah, I might even make an update. I typically have been doing an update every year or so. It's not a really regimented thing, but it seems that we've got to do another update, potentially 2026 or 2027. We've got more updates and things like that, or new ideas or whatever, or we could see. So I think that'd be quite cool. But yeah, also, I hope you guys like and subscribe. So yeah, thank you for watching, and I hope you guys enjoy this. So yeah, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys like and subscribe. Always remember to hit that little bell icon to get notified of anything. So if you guys enjoyed this video, hope you guys like and subscribe, and bye bye.